Hello everyone, and welcome back to Crypto Bytes, where we discuss all things crypto, DeFi, airdrops, and more. My name's Brian, and today we're going to take a look at Meteora on Solana. Now, I've made a few videos on Meteora over the last year, and it probably is my number one most farmed protocol out there across all blockchains. So I'm really looking forward to the upcoming airdrop that should be coming, probably Q3 of 2025, so a few months from now. So if you haven't been using Meteora up until now, hopefully some of the strategies that I show you in this video will give you some confidence in giving it a shot for yourself. And overall, Meteora is a liquidity provider. So basically, you're depositing into concentrated liquidity pools for different assets on Solana. And the name of the game is to try and generate as much fees as you can, which is how you generate profit. You can also make profit, if the assets in the pools appreciate while you're in them as well, of course. But the main thing is generating fees. And then as far as the airdrop goes, there's two ways that you're able to earn points at this point in time. One is just the amount that you've deposited over a period of time. So you earn, I think it's like 1,000 points for every $100 or $1, one of those, whatever, over a 24-hour period. So just the pure amount that you've deposited. But then the way that you can really rack up the most points is they also offer points for the amount of fees that you generate. And like I said, fees are how you're making profit in the meantime. And so what you really want to focus on if you want to maximize your airdrop and upfront revenue while you're farming is to generate as many fees as possible. So I'm going to hop in and show you what I've been doing recently. I had been not farming Meteora probably during February and March of this year because meme coins and the general market and liquidity was dry during that time. But things are now starting to pick back up again towards the mid-April to now we're in almost the middle of May, and I suspect that things are going to continue to be heating up. So like I said, it's a good time to get going with Meteora if you haven't already, or double down your efforts if you're really looking to get a nice airdrop, because there are a lot of people using it at this point in time. So let's go ahead and hop into what we're going to talk about today. Well, first of all, so I've spoken about this before in other videos, but if you're not aware, there is a platform called Hawkfi, and basically they're built on top of Meteora. They're also built on top of Orca, which is even larger than Meteora, I believe, at this point in time as far as being a liquidity provider. So everything that you can do on those websites, you can do on Hawkfi. And then in addition to that, something cool that Hawkfi enables is that you can have automatic compounding. So, as you're earning fees, if you have that set, it'll compound your fees into your principal, so that if you're entered into a pool for a long period of time, you can grow how much you're earning in fees by compounding. They also have auto rebalance. So if you want to stay in a pool for a prolonged period of time, if for whatever reason the price goes up or down outside of your range, if you have the auto rebalance on, then it'll automatically rebalance your pool by redepositing your assets with a new range, and you can set how you want that to work. But the thing that I use the most here is they have a take profit and stop loss feature. So I'll show you here in a minute. I really use the stop loss because, especially when you're dealing with meme coin pairs, the volatility is quite strong, and if you don't have stop loss in place, you could go from you could lose 50% in like 5 minutes if you're really going aggressive. Like I am going to show you how I'm doing it in a moment here. So that's kind of an overview on Hawkfi. So we're going to be using Hawkfi instead of Meteor itself in this video. And then the other tool that we're going to be using is, I don't know if you can see the link, but I'll put this in the description, is dlmm.geeklad.com. Geeklad is a member of kind of the Meteora LP army. So that's the community that Meteora has built. And he's put together a bunch of different tools, but this one in particular I find myself using on a daily basis for everything that I'm doing nowadays. So basically what it does is, well, let me go back here. So if you're looking at the different pools on Hawkfi or Meteora, when you see the 24-hour fee over TVL metric, so this is basically like your AP, your daily percent that you're going to earn if you deposit in here. And this is just simply the amount of fees over the amount of volume. Now this is typically a lagging indicator because, if it's a hot pool, a bunch of liquidity may have came in, but then by the time, and that's why the fee to TVL is so high, but then by the time you get in, maybe a lot of that has passed. And so even though it says 25% on here in Meteora, the current fee is like 5% or less. So this is something that I dealt with a lot previously farming Meteora, and it's just because there wasn't these kinds of tools that we have now that can show you the real-time fees that are happening right now. And so basically what this tool does is you can go and select from a bunch of different time frames, and it'll show you the amount of liquidity and the amount of volume and fees in that specific time frame. So that way, let's go ahead and click on one of these as an example. So so Buddy here, you can see that the blue line is the amount of liquidity in the pool, and then the red line is the fee over the TVL. And so currently it's at 400, looks like. And then let's go over to Hawkfi here. And we'll see that that same pool is showing 91%. So basically what that means is that, while this is showing 91%, which is an awesome, you're almost doubling your money in one day if you were able to stay in this pool for that long. But if you got in like right now, it's actually going to be giving you 400% on the daily. Now, obviously you can see that this was already up at like 600 and now it's gone to 400. So, unless more liquidity comes in here, this is going to go, keep on going down most likely. But if you're going to enter into a pool like right here and now, you'd want to know which one, if you want to get into the buddy pool, then you can go here and you'll see all the different buddy pools, and you'll see which ones are giving the best fee right now when you get in. And so that's why I use this tool. Other things that are interesting with this tool, in case it helps, when you start using this, is that you'll see here the amount of liquidity has basically been, it stayed the same more or less over the last 5 minutes. That's what I have on the time frame right here. And so, but then you'll see other pools. Let's find an example. And this one as well. Come on. Basically what we're looking for is we're going to find, not that one either. I'm looking to find where you'll see, okay, so here you can see that in this period of time, the liquidity is starting to go down. And so oftentimes, even if the fee percent is higher and not going down like it is going down here, but sometimes you'll see where the TVL is going down, but the fee is like stable or going up. Typically what this means is that people are leaving that pool, and either the asset is, dumping and people are getting out, or, this is like a 5% fee pool. Maybe this asset is very popular and so they're going to make more fees by going into like the 1% pool as an example. So pretty much when I'm using this, I'm looking for, basically sorting by the 24-hour to fee over TVL, and then I'm looking at the graph and seeing what, is the liquidity been stable at least in the last 5 minutes? If so, then I'll go and try and enter the pool, assuming that, I at least want the asset to be like a few hours old. So what we would do in this video is I'm just going to go and start, trying to get into a few different pools, and we can see how they actually work, and also show you how I take profits or cut my losses once the pool is entered. Okay, so let's go ahead and try and find a couple of pools that we can enter in here, and yeah, hopefully, seeing me actually do it live here will be helpful for you. So I clicked on the top one, which is Petunia, and this one looks decent because the liquidity is actually going up and more or less the fee is stable. So let's go find this pool. And this was the 5% 250. So that's this one. And pretty much what I'll do next is I'll click on that bird eye link so I can see what the current prices are, and also if the token's been around long enough. So we can see that this one's been around for 2 days, so at least it has a decent amount of price history. We're only going to be in these pools for 20 minutes or less, by the way. So I then go and click on the 1 minute chart, and then pretty much what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to set my range to be kind of the top and bottom of this range in the when sorting by the 1 minute chart. So it's kind of like the last few hours. So that means 4 at the top and call it 15 at the bottom. So let's go and try and do that. So I click create position. And then let's go and set this. So you can do whatever you like, but personally for me, I don't like to have my minimum price more than about 20 to 25% from the current price. So in order for me to be at that range, let's see, this is saying that I'll need to set my low at 4027. So on the graph, where does that take us? Quite high. So, and you can see this is up here. The reason why I like to have it be less is because what I've been finding really working well for me is I'm using the curve strategy. And basically what the curve is that so spot is, if you put in $100 and if there's 100 bins, slots that you can put your liquidity into, it's putting $1 of your liquidity into each of those. And so as it goes up and down through that range that you've set, you're earning kind of an equal amount of fees. Bid ask, usually with that, it's basically putting your liquidity at the edges, so at the top edge and the bottom edge. Whereas with curve, it puts the vast majority of your liquidity in the center, which is the current price that the asset's at. And so for that reason, I would prefer, if this is my range, I would prefer that the asset be somewhere around here, so that way, if it was going to fall and come out of my range, I'm only going to lose 20%. I'll make it up with fees, but I'll lose 20% on my initial deposit. Whereas if it's up here and it drops 56% like we saw originally, then I'm probably not going to make enough fees to make that be worth my while. So glad we saw this example, because this is a reason why I wouldn't take a trade in a specific pool. So we're not going to get into this one. Let's go and try another one. So let's take a look at this Bonk AI pool. Stable liquidity, so even though the fee is going down, that's okay. 5% one. Let's go take a look. and 1. Yep. By the way, the other criteria that I have, again, you can do what you like, but I generally try to stay away from any pools that have less than 500 in TVL. I'm only, putting about $40 in, so 10%, whatever. I'll do $40, I'll do 100, just depends. For the purpose of this video, that's what I'm going to be using. So I don't want to do like a deposit where it's more than 10% of the total TVL in the pool, just in case the liquidity gets pulled, it could lose me money. So let's go on the 1 minute here, and this one looks much better because the price is currently kind of in the middle of this range that we're going to set. So we'll put the range kind of from this, like, call it 13 to 23, 24. Let's see if we can do that. Set curve. So we said 13. Okay, and then 20. Oops. Okay, yeah, that's close enough for now. So then what I'll do is I'll come here and set a stop loss. I'll just have that be 1. You can't have the stop loss be equal to the minimum price, so I just move it to be 1 below that. I leave the slippage at 3%. I've had it before where I put this at 1 and it didn't close out quickly enough, so 3% usually has not been a problem for me. And then I'm only going to do one-sided. I'm not going to buy any bonk AI. I'm just going to do pure SOL. So I'm going to do 0.2 SOL here, and then let's go ahead and create the position. And we'll do a couple of these, and then by the time we're done with the video, you'll be able to see how I'm managing that. So profit loss, how I handle my stop loss. I'll move it up and down as things get going here. So while that's going, let's go ahead and pick another one. Let's try. Let's see. I'll try this one. Liquidities look stable, at least for now, so that's the 0.2 and 20. Before I do that, so we started out at a little bit, 36, 37 bucks. You can see immediately I just refresh. We should have some fees running in already. Not yet? Okay, let's give it a little bit. Oops, I think I did too many O's there. And I think it's clear, but I have no idea what any of these assets are. I don't care about them. I'm really just making sure that there's enough price action on them, at least a few hours, and that there's enough, transactions happening that I'm going to make fees, because I'm going to be in and out of here really quick. And I didn't mention it, but as part of that stop loss setting that I set, I have it so that as soon as the position gets closed on the stop loss, it's converting everything back into SOL. So I'm never having to hold, the meme coin that we're dealing with here. So this one again is at the top of the range, so I don't really want to deal with this. Is it coming down? I'll let that run in the background. Let's try another one in the meantime. This one looks good. So Doom 125, 5%. Also, I guess I should mention a couple other things that I look at is, I'm not overly concerned about the market cap typically. Ideally, it would be over a million, just because that means that there's more liquidity that you're dealing with. But if it's less, it's okay too. And sometimes those outperform just because they're much more volatile. But the one thing that I do also look at is if, especially on the newer charts, if like they're only down and like there's literally no bounces that have happened, then I'll also either wait to see if a bounce starts to happen, or I just won't even deal with it at that time. So at least with this one, even though it's down massively since the peak here, it has had some buying activity, which means it probably won't just go straight down as soon as I buy it, hopefully. So um, let's see with this one, we're about between 6 and 18, maybe 7 and 17. And as far as the speed at which I'm doing this, I've been doing this for a long time, so I can be pretty, since I'm not dealing with massive funds when I'm entering into these positions, it takes me 10 or so minutes to make a decision and get in, and I'll do that a few hours a day, and I'm generally trying to make about 10% ROI on each trade, and I'm about 50% successful. So like on average 10%, including after factoring in losses, and then obviously some trades I'm making more than 10%, sometimes I'm losing money. Overall, I'd say I probably have a 40 or 50% win rate, and then when I do win, I'm usually winning 20, 30, 40%, and when I'm losing, I'm trying to limit that to like 5 to 10% at most. So let's go ahead and set this 8. Is that too high? That's okay. So we'll set it at 8, and then 16. That works. So I'll set my stop loss again. And yeah, as far as how much I'm depositing, I'm doing it for this video. Usually I probably put in somewhere around a sol when I'm getting into a position. And that's, I'm not looking to put massive size into these things. At least I'm not comfortable enough to do it yet. But what I've been doing is I kind of started off lower, and as I'm finding success, I'm gradually increasing how much I'm depositing, and then I'm basically depositing the same amount into every single opportunity that I take. I'm not putting large in one and small in the other or anything like that. I'm sure there's better ways to do this, and in fact I know many experienced people on Meteora, they do weight their positions based off of if you're getting into like a 40 million market cap coin versus a 500,000 market cap coin, which makes sense. But I keep it flat for now at least. So that's this one. Let's go and check back on our earlier one to see if we have any fees yet. Alright guys, so we're back. I was not sure why the fees were not updating, but finally they appear to be showing. And yeah, I didn't want you just wasting time staring at my face on the screen. So we can see here on Doom that we just entered. We started at about 36 bucks. We're down a couple right now, but we've already made $1.25 in fees, so it offsets that by about 50%. So what I'll do is, I really don't want to have, based off the amount that I deposit, I don't want my total deposit to go down more than $30 to $30 at this point, because I want to at least break even, which at the moment it looks like it could be a losing trade or break even. So what I'll do here is I come down and I'm going to go into configure, which is where you can see the different settings. In particular, I'm going to be going to the stop loss. And so since we're already down a couple bucks on my initial principal, right now it's basically saying I'm going to be stopped out if it goes down another 13%. I don't really want to lose another 13% at this point, so I'm going to bring this down to probably about 5%. 4.84, that works. So, and then you can see here it's going to automatically swap to SOL if it hits my stop loss. And that also means it'll take any fees generated and that'll swap that into SOL as well for me. So let's see. So yeah, we're still a couple bucks down, about $1.50 in fees. More or less, that's pretty much what my strategy has been. Is just basically opening up new pools. Let me come back to this tool again to show you a little bit more while we're waiting. Maybe we won't have to pause. So as far as this 24-hour fee to TVL metric, I'll typically get into pools until we get down to about 100, sometimes 50. Just depends on how how many different opportunities there are right now, since there's a bunch, because I could enter into all of these. It'll take me like an hour or so to do that, and by the time I'm done, there's going to be like another 10 here because they're constantly rotating, because I'm looking at what are the best performing pools in the last 5 minutes basically. So you can notice here when you click and it shows a new one, it's going to also update this list at the same time, because it's constantly refreshing its database to show you. So yeah, if you're following that and you just want to look here for liquidity to see if it has 500 bucks or more is what I do, then try those pools. And then yeah, once I get to a point where I'm done, then I'll just be going and monitoring my positions as I enter them and updating the stop loss like I just showed you. And yeah, what else? I think another important thing that I've learned is, while it, obviously you want to be entering into these pools when volatility is high, because that's how you get a lot of fees generated. But if you're entering into the pools at a time when the price of Solana, which most of these you're going to be depositing Solana only, at least that's what I do. There's other pools where you could enter in USDC, but I just generally don't do that. And so yeah, if you enter into the pool when the price of Solana is dumping, then you're gonna be not doing too well. So I always keep an eye on what the price of Solana is doing while I'm entering into a trade. And yeah, let me just pull this up to show you guys. So we can see right now price of Solana is going up nicely. So actually that's a decent time to be getting in to pools, is if the price is going up. But like a day or so ago when I was playing around and the price of Solana was doing this, then I was getting stopped out on a lot more of my trades, because even though the asset itself was doing okay, because the price of Solana was going down, it was causing me to hit my stop losses more frequently than what I would be doing. So ideally you're entering in during times of kind of flat or like choppy SOL price or upward SOL price, but if the price of SOL is going down, then you kind of want to not bother doing LPing, in my opinion. I'm not sure if I've never come across anyone that has done well in times of volatility like that where it's going down, but for me it's just something I don't deal with. Let's go ahead and check back on here one more time. And we can see that we're getting back up a little bit. The amount of fees is a little bit higher, so this pool seems to be a little bit slower than what I was expecting. But typically, if you were to enter in the amount that we started with here, 36, on a good pool, I would have expected to have made $5 or $6 in fees already at this point in time. We've probably been doing this for about 10 minutes, with the balance kind of maintaining its current price. So that's kind of like the mark that you'd want to be going for if you were doing this. But yeah, I hope that this video was helpful. It's pretty much end to end what my strategy has been on Meteora, and yeah, like I said, I've been able to, generate about 20 to 30% on a good pool. I might lose about 10% on a bad pool. My overall kind of average across the board, anytime I enter a pool, is basically a 10% return. And the way that I manage that is I'm constantly changing my stop loss to get, tighter and tighter and tighter until I end up getting stopped out. If it goes to the upside, I'll just leave the pool alone for a little while and hope that it starts to go down and gets back in to the range. But if it stays out of range for an extended period of time, like a couple hours, then I'll just close it myself. And yeah, hope this has been helpful, everyone, and it wasn't boring. If you like this and you like me going through and showing live trades, I very much enjoyed doing that, so let me know in the comments. And yeah, other than that, hope this was helpful, and we'll talk next time. Happy farming.